welcome to OnSong Live Facebook, and we are so happy to be here with you. It's been a couple weeks. We've been busy at work, literally moving into new offices, so if you notice something different, let us know what that would be, and we will send you a hat if you're the first person to notice something different about our setup and what that would be. That would be awesome. Hey, we're going to do Q&A today as well for about 55 minutes to an hour. So if you have questions about OnSong and anything relating to OnSong, please type those in on YouTube or Facebook Live, and Jason here is going to do his best attempt to answer your questions the best that he knows. And we're excited. We're excited to be here. We're excited to be back on the air. And yeah.
Yeah, thanks for hanging in there for the last week. We were.
Excited to be back.
Oh, mute my laptop. See, there we go. How's that? There we go.
I was like, I hear two of you.
Oh, there's two of me going on. When this is a bad thing, how is it bad to have two of me? Okay, anyway, yes, we are live on YouTube right now. We're getting some of the kinks worked out there.
Yep.
But yeah, we are ready to answer your questions today.
We have a winner, Jim Dunn.
We have a Jim Dunn.
New background
Jim Dunn did it.
and new chairs.
New chairs, very good. We're in a new location, Jim, as well. So it's nice we don't have to set up this. We had this like desk that we had to set up all the time. It was really cool actually, but it was a real pain to do. And being that we had a very small office, we had to kick everyone out while that was all happening. And so it was nice just to come and sit down and flip on the switches, and we can live stream to you guys. So it's really cool.
Exactly. So give us your questions. I know it's been a couple weeks, so hopefully you guys have some kind of, if you had any situations or problems going on over the last couple weeks while using OnSong, we would love to be able to help you out today. And so also we do have a sale going on at OnSong. Trying to bring it up here. I cannot bring it up. It's the add-on sale. Is it buy one, get one free?
2 weeks console.
2 weeks console.
off.
Scenes, drawing tool, they are on sale.
50% off or more.
50% or more.
Nobody told him.
Yeah, nobody told him.
That's the problem now that we have different offices. It's like before it was just in one big office, not one small office. So everybody knew everybody else's business. Now we actually have to like
Now we have to
go
talk.
and talk and
Communicate as a
have
company
meetings and things like that. So
with things to do. So yeah, if you don't have all those add-ons between now and the next 2 weeks, will be a great time for you to pick those up. They're 50% off. OnSongApp.com.
you could buy it right now and ask us how to use it if you want.
There you go.
You know, Q&A session here. Yeah, but while we're waiting for some people to ask questions, we did just recently release a new update, actually a couple of updates, because we did find a glitch in the one. And one of the things that we do at OnSong, because obviously it's a mission critical app, is we roll out the phases. And what that lets us do is, even though we have hundreds of beta team members taking a look at it, sometimes something gets through the cracks, something that we updated last minute might, not last minute, but something just wasn't caught in time. And so when we roll out, we actually, the first day, only 1% of our users will get an automatic update. I think the second day it goes up to 2% and then 3%. And so within a couple days, if there is an issue, we do hear about it right away, and somebody did find an issue. So we were able to fix it within a day, get it out there. And then I think there was one other thing. So anyway, we're good now. Everything's looking pretty decent. But if you want to take a look at what we just recently released, you could always go to onsongapp.com/releases. If you go to the releases page, it will show you a big long list of every release of OnSong. And as you can see here, we kind of did it in rapid succession here, 3 updates in 3 days. But this last one does have everything that we just added. So we will talk about some of the new things that we've just done. For one thing, we have just added the Coda Stomp foot pedal to OnSong. So I wish we should have probably been smart and brought that into the room here. But maybe what I could do is I could ask our lovely assistant to go and bring that for us, kind of like a Vanna White. Maybe Kendra will bring us that.
Sure, where's that?
We'll see. It's over in their office.
Okay.
Yeah, so anyway, we'll go over that today, and there's not too many new features. Mostly this was a stability build, but we did a lot with some formatting of Chord Pro. So there's been a couple of little glitches that people have have told us about. So we went through and made a couple of tweaks there as well. So let's go over to our iPad screen. I'll show you how, if you're interested in the Coda Stomp, I'll show you how to get to that and configure it. So, just like normal. By the way, I think we're running iOS 13 on this device right now. So hopefully everything works the way it ought to work. But here, I'm just going to come over here and tap on the foot pedal, the actions screen right there. And this is actually a problem. This is a problem with the current iOS 13 version here. So we're probably going to need to not use this iPad, believe it or not. That's
I
neat.
would grab my iPad too.
Here, you can switch it back to video here. And yeah, so we are looking at iOS 13 and reporting some bugs. Apple, we're looking at you. I'll tell you what I can do maybe. I'll bring it up here on my laptop. Just give me a second here. And see if we can get this up and running real quick. There we go. It's not going to be the best option to do it this way, but it will work. So we're just going to go with it. All right, you can switch me over to my laptop. There we go. So right now we're just running in our iOS simulator because that is going to get us what we need to do right now. But if I come over here to my actions menu, I can flip through. Right after the air turn digit 3, we have the new Coda Stomp foot pedal. And so this Coda Stomp foot pedal is really, it's a metal pedal. It's full metal jacket. Wait, what? No, it's full metal construction with stomp switches. And you can see here it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buttons on it. The main buttons that you would, or the pedals that you would press are the lower ones, and you can assign left or right actions to each one. The center button is a mode button because you can configure the Coda Stomp into 3 different modes. I think it comes pre-configured with an up-down arrow or a left-right arrow mode. So just keep that in mind. And I'm not sure how many people know this, but this icon up here in the upper right corner, the 3 dots, this is actually how you choose what mode that pedal is in. So if, let's say, you're using this pedal and it comes pre-configured left-right, OnSong is automatically set up for left-right arrow mode. But if you change that pedal to up-down arrow mode, you can change it here. And one of the cool things with this Choose Pedal Mode menu is that you can configure multiple pedals using this. Now, the Coda Stomp is not a Bluetooth LE device as far as being able to pair it in a way that's not a computer keyboard, but you could possibly get 3 of these and configure each one in a different mode, and then use 3 of them if you choose to do that, although it's probably more effective to get something like an AirTurn S6 at that point. If you want to use 6 buttons, it's a lot less expensive. But you could choose the mode here. Up in the upper left-hand corner, they do have sort of like a repeat function, if you will. And I think you can then set it up so that if you press on a pedal, sorry about that, if you press on a pedal and hold it down, it will repeat the function over and over again. And so that's not terribly convenient for momentary actions in OnSong. I'm not really sure what you would want to set that up for, to be honest. And then the power button is in the upper right corner. And we're going and getting that pedal so we can show you. But just like you would any other pedal, once you have it paired to your device, you can then go in and then either tap on the button inside of that foot pedal setup screen, or you can press the button in real life. We're not going to do that today just because we're using the simulator right now. We don't have that Bluetooth connectivity with the simulator. But if we go back to the screen, I can just tap on it. Here we go, and then you can set your action. Now, the actions are set up by default, but you can always change them to something else. So for instance, we can scroll down. Actually, we don't need to scroll down very far. We can definitely have the navigation set up to scroll down, scroll up, all that stuff. So we could change those to another action, just as you have probably done for many years now inside OnSong. And of course, you can, if you're interested in the Stomp, Coda Stomp, you can tap on the buy button, or you can tap on the manual. You can read all about it. hear ye type of scenario. So that's a really easy way to use this new pedal. And one of the nice things, and we'll get that pedal and show you here real soon, but one of the great features with that, where'd Jeremiah go? Oh, he's going to go get that pedal. So one of the great features with that pedal is it's pretty easy to turn on and it's pretty easy to pair it. And so I think that's some of the nice things with that particular foot pedal that you'll see here in just a second. So I do apologize for our technical difficulties, and I'm going to take a look to see if we have any questions coming in, at least on YouTube.
We do have one on Facebook.
We have one on Facebook.
If you don't have any on YouTube.
Yeah, sure.
Jack wanted to know, he said he's considering moving to console. A brief overview, please. He watched the video, but it was early on in the process.
Oh, okay. Very good question. All right. Well, let's switch back over to our simulator screen while Jeremiah's getting settled here. You know, for one thing, let me go over a couple things with the way that console works. You know, obviously, hold on a second here. Console works, it's a web-based interface for managing your music, for making changes and edits. So right now it's an editor for writing songs, for editing songs, for importing songs onto your iPad using a web browser experience. And so that's a pretty convenient way to make it happen. And so the way that you would turn that on, and by the way, we are doing a half-price sale on console scenes. The drawing add-on, it's half price or more, so it might even be more than half price off, I think, or half off. I think the drawing tool is
99 cents.
Yeah, 99 cents right now. So check that out. But the way you would use console is you come in here and then you would just click on or tap on console, and it brings this up. And then of course you have an IP address that shows up down below. Now, since I'm in the simulator, it's also putting this thing at the end, this number, and that's just to make it work with the simulator and some other stuff that might be happening inside the simulator. But basically what you would do is type this in to a web browser, okay? So if I were to go to a web browser, I can type in that number, 192.168.1. And what was that? 173. And then I'm going to put this port in the end. It's called a port. And then our console will come up. Now, one thing you have to do is allow permission to that web browser to use it. So if I come back over to my iPad, I could just tap on accept, and then my console will load in the back end. So the console is made up of a couple different parts. You have your song list on the left. You can add songs by tapping on the plus button up here. And so that's going to allow you to either create a new song, and you can type in the song title and the artist and have that pre-populated for you in the editor. Or you can select files. And so you can import any file, although, you know, keep in mind that console obviously works best with text-based files because that's what you really want to edit inside the console. If you import something like a Word file or a PDF file, things like that, especially Word files, they will not appear in a browser because Word files are not actually set up to be viewable in web browsers, believe it or not. I don't know why they haven't figured that one out yet, but they haven't. PDF files will display. But again, the console isn't really geared to be a full viewer of OnSong. It's more or less to let you edit your songs. And so here I have on the left side, welcome to OnSong. In the middle, we have the editor. And so what's nice about that is I can come in here and start making some changes. You know, if I want to change the chords, change this to a G chord, you can see that as soon as I type, it makes the changes on the right-hand side in the preview pane. So if I take the quotes out, it happens very quickly. And I can just make my chords whatever I want here. What in the world chord is that there?
G-Sol.
G-Sol. Oh boy. Yeah, the puns are coming here. So anyway, so you could just write your chord chart just like that, like you would in the song editor inside of OnSong. And then of course you could tap on the metadata up here, and this allows you, the cool thing about this is it's sort of like the metadata editor inside of the song editor in OnSong. So you can come in here and let's say we want to change the time signature to 3/4. What I'm going to do is move this palette, and then you'll see in the song editor that our time signature automatically changes to 3/4. We can put in a duration for the song, so let's say it's 3 minutes and 46 seconds. As soon as I move off of that field, it's going to add that as a duration tag. So nice thing is you don't need to know all the metadata tags that OnSong has. We can copyright that, 2019 OnSong, there we go. We got a copyright in there, etc. So, and then the other nice thing about the console editor with this metadata palette is I can transpose to a different key, and it's going to transpose it here, but it's also going to update that to the key of E in my preview at the same time. So sometimes that gets a little confusing for some folks, how OnSong handles that. And then, of course, when we're all done, we can just tap on the Save button, and that's actually going to come over here. If I go over to my simulator, I'll just close this window, you'll see now it's in the key of E. We have the B sus4 because we just transposed the song, and of course we removed the chord above the songs and the quotes. And yeah, so that's how console works in a nutshell. Let me go through all the different menu bar options. Just let me know if we have like tons of questions coming in or anything.
Jack,
and
wanted to just touch base. So
yeah.
console is for use only with your iPad? No, you can use it with your iPhone.
Yeah, so, well, the nice thing is console, what it actually does is it sets up a web server on your iOS device. So if you're using your iPad and you enable console, it will give you that address to type into a web browser on a computer. So I'm on a Mac, but you can use it on Windows. Anything that has a modern web browser, even Android devices that has a modern web browser, you can use it. And so you just type that in to the web browser location bar, and then you can edit whatever is on that device where you took that web address from. So if you wanted to edit on your iPhone, it would probably bring up a different address. And that's all on your, by the way, it's all on your local network. It's not going up into the cloud or the internet or anything. So you can edit it, safely, securely, and you don't need an internet connection to do it. You just need to have a network established between your computer and your iPad. So yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of different tools that you can pick from in the editor and also in the preview screen. So let me go through those real quick here. The insert palette, this allows you to do things like insert chords. So if I wanted to insert that chord again, I could just tap and it's going to bring that chord in. And of course you can see that it also updated the preview screen. We can bold a line using line formatting or italicize the line. We could also use this. And what this is actually doing is changing, as you can see, changing what's in the editor. It's actually putting some of these tags at the beginning, something called line formatting. So this is kind of a nice to have with console. You could also highlight the line, so we can actually make it really ugly, as you can see. Woohoo! Or we turn it all off again. And then down below, we do have a couple of pre-built labels. Again, section labels, I should say, inside OnSong are really easy to do. Some people, ask, like, well, what can I type here? You can type anything in a section label. It doesn't really matter. I mean, if we could say, like, Dakota's Jam, we could do that, jam, and that will show over there. Just the same. And if we were using something like Flow, we could just call it DJ for an abbreviation or just spell it all out. But you could also come in here, let's say we want to just put a label in, what was that, verse 2, we could just do that too. And that's just going to put it in place and automatically update our preview. So that's the insert palette. We have text tools, and this is synonymous with what's in OnSong if you were to tap on the hammer icon inside the song editor. So you have search and replace functions. You could toggle between bracketed chords and chords over lyrics. And of course, you could fix alignment spaces. And it tells you right there what it is, but also explain it. Fix alignment spaces happens when you import let's say a Word file inside of, you bring it into OnSong and convert it to text. What usually happens when you're writing a song chart in something like a word processor, you end up using a lot of spaces to get the chords over the appropriate lyrics because a space is usually much narrower than any other character except maybe an I or something. And so when you bring that into OnSong, sometimes your chords are going to be blasted out to the right-hand side because you put all those spaces in. Fixed alignment spaces is going to bring those chords back closer to their original position, but you still might have to you do some finessing. And so one of the tricks that you can do is switch over to chords over lyrics, call that fix alignment spaces button, and then you can just remove or add spaces to nudge that chord over the word or the phrase that you want to have that chord aligned with. So that's your text tools. Let's take a look at some of the other things we got here. Delete, obvious function, if you want to delete the song. And since this is my only song, I'm not going to touch it. And then, of course, you have extract. And so if you did import something like a PDF file, what that's actually going to do is run out, if you import a PDF file, it's going to put it right away on your iPad. And then when you hit extract, it's telling OnSong to go out and try to extract the text of that file, which if it's a PDF and you scanned it, sometimes we have to actually have the computer try to read the text and figure out what it all means. But if you're importing a PDF file that has text inside of the file or a Word file, a lot of times OnSong can extract that text and bring it in here. And we call it extract because originally we called it convert, but it's really not converting it into the OnSong or a Chord Pro file format, mostly because we don't know what shape that file was in to begin with. And so it's really hard to convert something to another format if you really don't know what you're working with to begin with. And so we haven't developed a way for the computer to figure out what mess it's working with in order to do that. So just keep that in mind. It's going to import the text, and then you will need to go in there and make some tweaks to it. So moving over to our preview screen over here on the right-hand side, low light is pretty obvious. It's going to toggle to low light mode. And something to keep in mind here, if we take a look at our simulator, it's in not low light mode. But as soon as we hit save, then our simulator should also switch to low light mode as well. And so console can actually, remember, every time you save changes in console, it's actually affecting your iPad as well. So no information is being stored in console. It's all just pulling it back and forth from your iPad. Okay. Pages does something, and that probably won't show up here, but it's just going to show us any kind of page breaks that we might be dealing with, which is pretty close to how it should print. And lead and follow is set up that either when you have lead turned on in console, if you move or choose a different song inside a console, then it's going to choose and move that song on your iPad as well. So you can actually control your iPad from console. And kind of conversely, follow will allow any changes that I make inside of or on my iPad to be changed over here on console. So in other words, if I pick a different song on my iPad, it's going to pick a different song in console. And you can actually turn both of those on. So both console can lead and follow and vice versa, obviously with your iPad. So you can turn those on and off. Those are just toggle switches. They don't actually bring up any kind of menu or what we call palettes inside a console. And then lastly, we have style. And this is kind of synonymous with the style preferences menu that you probably have seen inside of OnSong. But you can change the size of different elements. You can turn them off altogether. You can change the color of your chord highlights, change the color of the chords themselves, bold, highlight, or bold italics, that type of thing. So that's just stylistic. Of course, change the font as well. And lastly, you have your chords palette. And so here we can change the style, the chord style. So we could do Nashville, we could use Roman numerals, or we can do do, re, mi. All of that stuff. We could transpose to a different key. Now just remember that when you transpose using the style preferences menu in OnSong or the chords palette in console, that you're not actually changing the underlying what's in the editor or the text file of the song. And so that's an important concept in OnSong, is that the text file is kind of like your original, and then when you transpose, you're doing something on top of that original. You're modifying it for viewing only. You're not actually changing the original file. So down here you can see as I transpose, the editor isn't changing at all. It's still written in the key of E. And then I can just transpose it wherever I want. I can also apply capo. Remember that capo in OnSong is going to modulate that song down that number of half steps so that when you play, it's going to be in the key that you set in the transpose slider. So Don't use capo as like a transpose option in that way. If you do, you have to transpose the key and then add to the capo. And then of course you can add diagrams in here. So, you know, we can scroll down, we can see the diagrams are at the bottom. We can move those to the top like this. We can make those diagrams a little bigger, a little smaller, just like that. And then we can also change what type of diagrams are displayed. And transposing instrument, I don't know how many people have noticed that. That's been a recent add, both to the style preferences menu and to console. Just recently, I think we added that to console. But this is really, if you play something like piano, guitar, bass, any of those, you know, typical contemporary band instruments, those you don't need to use it's not a transposing instrument, okay? So the reason is that the key of C is concert pitch. The concert pitch is C, so there's no modification. But if you're playing something like a trumpet, clarinet, I think flute might actually be in concert pitch. But you'll know, if you know that you're playing a transposing instrument, let's say a B-flat instrument, you could turn on B-flat down there, and that way it'll kind of convert all your chords. It kind of transposes the song so that when you play, let's say a G, it's actually playing a G, okay? If that makes sense to you woodwind instrument players everywhere, brass players, being a pain in the brass. Sorry. All right, so is that good for console? Good?
With one other little tidbit on it.
Yeah.
Noah, N-O-E, sorry if I pronounced it wrong. I'm trying out console right now, and I'm noticing that it doesn't support superscript chords.
Yeah, you know, you're right. It doesn't.
There's your answer.
There you go. I looked at that briefly. It was like towards the end of the development cycle, and I realized that we had never added that to the console. So something interesting to keep in mind with console is it actually uses a completely different rendering engine because it's all web-based, right? So we have it working, so it's very, very accurate with what we're showing on screen. But the superscripting, we have to do that kind of ourselves and tweak a bunch of things. So we haven't done that yet. But yeah, it's on the docket. It's on the docket. So.
All right, Jim Dunn.
Well, I got a question.
Oh, okay.
If that's okay.
Yeah, ask away.
One thing I'd like to see is more clarification on using DMX and lighting. I struggle greatly to get this working, although it works a lot easier with LifeX lights. So that's Alberto McNeil. How's it going? We do have a live stream a while back that focused on DMX. So if you can take a look for that one, we might be able to comment in the link to that. We went kind of like soup to nuts, how to hook it all up. One of the issues with DMX is that it's not necessarily easy to kind of wrap your head around exactly how it works because it's very manual, you know. So when you get a light, you have to configure it to a specific channel, and then that light takes up a number of channels on the 512 channels you have with DMX 512. And then, of course, you need to, if it's a light that OnSong doesn't support, you have to know how to add it and stuff like that. So what I usually say is if you are having issues with that, sometimes, well, the best thing is that you could always send your library to us to take a look because what happens more times than not, I would say about 60% of the time, the light just isn't configured in the right way that it can be addressed. The other half or so of the time, the issue is setting up that ArtNet device on a network because, again, the iPad is Wi-Fi, it doesn't have a DMX connector, it doesn't have USB, it doesn't work with USB DMX adapters either. Maybe, you know what, maybe we'll have to try that with some of this new USB-C stuff that Apple's doing. But in the meantime, those are the two things that people struggle with, and we do cover a lot of that in our DMX live stream.
Okay. Jim has a question. What is the best way to enable/disable effects or maybe a preset snapshot on my Behringer X-Air XR18 mixer on a song-by-song basis or verse and chorus basis?
Woo! Well, there's a couple of things in there, Jim. What are we sending him again?
Jim?
A hat?
A hat.
A hat.
A Mets hat. I mean, an OnSong hat.
Yeah. Oh, where's your OnSong hat today?
What?
A Mets OnSong hat.
Oh.
All right, so first of all, let me say I do actually have the Behringer XR18. Not here, we're not going to go get it right now. But I have one, and I had hooked up like an X-Touch to it, you know. So it's a great little mixer. I mean, depending on what you're doing, it's 18 inputs, and it's rack mountable, or you could just run it like a stage box snake type of thing. Connect a little Cat 5 cable to it if you want. I guess the only thing is people say like the little Wi-Fi on it's not very great, so you usually lose signal as soon as 3 people walk into the room. But aside from that, it does have MIDI ports on the back, which I did notice. And I don't remember exactly what those MIDI functions are. I would have to look that up for you. But what I would do is probably put a Bluetooth MIDI adapter on the back of the XR18 so that you can connect to it from your iPad. That would probably be the first step. The second step would be to figure out what exactly to send to the XR. So you're looking at different effects like reverb. You want to mute the reverb channel or something like that, or like mute the effects buses or something like that.
Preset snapshot.
Yeah, preset. Yeah. So I mean, it all depends on what is supported by the XR18 over the MIDI protocol. So I would have to look that up. So maybe while Jeremiah's asking another question, I can look that up. Maybe.
Okay. Ed has a question. Will all my devices, iPhone and iPad, ever automatically sync to all my OnSong library versus backing up to Dropbox and downloading, importing entire library? Question mark. I want all changes to sync from one device to another.
I think now's a good time to start talking about some things, Jeremiah. You think so? What do you think?
As long as we can come through on them.
Yeah, so the first thing I want to say is sometimes when people ask for things, right, we say, hey, we have it on our list, right? We're working on it. We're working towards it. But of course, we're constantly trying to make sure that OnSong is as stable as possible for, first and foremost. And so even if you take a look at our last release notes, most of what we did is just performance improvements, stability, fixing any glitches that people report, that type of thing. So we have a lot of things that we are working towards, and some of those are getting kind of exciting. And I think it was actually the first release that we just released last week. We accidentally left something in that was only really wasn't meant for human consumption yet. And luckily it was an account feature. It was called OnSong Cloud. So yes, we are working on something called OnSong Cloud. We're not there yet, okay? But what that will also mean is that OnSong is moving towards a subscription model with accounts. So you would actually have your own OnSong account, your own OnSong library in the cloud, and the idea is to have that synchronized to your devices. So there's a number of things there. First of all, technical issues, right? We need to make sure that this is going to be very performant. And then there's also some legal issues that we're working through as well, because you're dealing with content, obviously, and storing that content and so on and so forth. So I did mention the S word, the subscription word, right? And so one thing I want to say first and foremost is with any subscription model that OnSong has is you will not lose anything with your OnSong moving to subscription. In other words, you already have OnSong, you already bought add-ons, all that stuff, so you get to keep all that. We're never going to make you get to a subscription. But what I can say is that we have a lot of great things that we want to add. A lot of features people have been asking for a long time, and so really the only way to do that is through an account system, obviously, with like a cloud system, and then also with subscription where we can continue to work on these great features and to support you into the future. So that's kind of where we're headed. I'm not going to give a timeline right now on that because we got a lot of stuff to do, and I feel like with OnSong 2.0, somehow when we said like 2.0, and then every time we said like, well, we'll add that to our list, like people just assumed that was coming out in 2.0. So we realized that we had this like stack of promises that we never meant to make. But what's really great is that even today we continue to add to OnSong lots of new features and stuff. Even if we don't name it something really drastic, we're continuing to work on that. So, who was that? Who asked that question?
I was about
Ed.
the sync for the Ed.
Yeah, so we are working on that, and one of the reasons that we're doing it that way is because it's great to be able to sync things between your phone and your iPad, but people want to do a little bit more than that. They want to be able to use their computer to edit the charts and have that automatically sent out, or you might want to go in and create your set and have your team get it automatically, for instance. And so those things are in process.
Well, and also we want to keep revenue stream going so that we can continue to work on OnSong and continue to make OnSong amazing with new features and everything else. So we, it's for the good. And even Jim just commented, a subscription is a good idea for you guys, and you guys are well worth it. So stuff like that. We appreciate it, Jim. That's exactly what we're doing.
I don't know how many people have had this experience, but you might download an app that you absolutely love, and then some company comes along and buys the other company, and then the app disappears, right? And so the nice thing is OnSong is independently owned, right? So our goal is to make sure that we're doing things that benefit you. And so what we're realizing is there's a lot of big things that we want to do, and that does mean we need to kind of have a little bit more revenue in order to make those happen and do it the right way. So thank you guys for sticking with us with all that, and we definitely want to keep moving in that direction.
Great.
Yeah.
Rob, who is watching from Lake Tahoe.
Oh.
What? Why are you watching us while you're at Lake Tahoe?
Wait a minute. Wait. Are you sitting on a dock somewhere?
He's so dedicated.
I appreciate the dedication.
This is Nordic?
Huh?
Who is
Yeah.
Oh.
Get in the water. Or is there water there?
Get in the water.
Get in Lake Tahoe.
Well, it's a lake.
Yeah, it's
I think they've had enough rain now.
Go swimming. Go swimming.
Stop hurting his feelings,
Sorry.
Jeremiah.
Sorry.
That's not very nice.
Appreciate you, Rob. I use the console app on Mac. Is there anything that the web version of console does that the app version doesn't?
Well, first of all, let me back that up a little bit. This is a whole other thing, okay? We had generally discontinued the Mac version of console, and the reason is we had a developer working on it. They were doing an okay job, and they decided they didn't want to be a programmer anymore, essentially. And so we have not updated that recently, mostly because Apple had for a while hinted, and the rumor was that they would allow iOS apps to run on Macs. So in June, beginning of June, so just recently, Apple had announced what they call Project Catalyst, and Project Catalyst will allow us to bring OnSong to the Mac, the full version of OnSong, so not a console, but the full version. We thought that would be a much better thing to look at rather than trying to reinvent the wheel on Mac. And so we are kind of on a hiatus on Mac right now. We are actually recommending people move to the Mac or to the web-based console. Some of the things that you can't do on the web-based console, you can't manage sets and books at this point, and and it's just easier to connect to your iPads through the Mac console because we can kind of scan and find what iPads are on your network and handle it that way. So there are some limitations with the web-based version. There are some niceties with the web-based version. If I can go back to my console here, give me a second to connect. Let me flip me on over to that. One of the buttons I didn't click on here is up here. There's a little TV screen, as you can see it there. And if I click on the TV screen, that's actually going to open up a separate window with lyrics projection. And so the problem is that I actually have to use my simulator in order to make this work. But I can actually click then on my iPad and have those lyrics show up inside of this window. And the other cool thing is you can see it actually goes completely full screen. So if you are using lyrics projection somewhere like remotely on a different computer, you can actually use console to do lyrics projection, and so you can't do that with the Mac-based version at all. So just keep that in mind. But we have actually done a lot of updates with console to kind of start bringing it up to par with some of the features that are in the iOS version. And I think you're going to be seeing more of that in the future. So hang in there.
Cool. Jim just followed up. I can look at the Behringer MIDI stuff. Just wondering if you guys had already tried it yet. Yes, mainly to disable reverb and delay between songs. Thank you.
I don't think we've tried it yet. We can. We have one. So yeah, maybe we'll have to take a look at that. We were thinking about hooking it up in here for our mic effects while we're talking.
Hello,
But
hello.
hello.
We love you. We love you. Jack was following up. I just bought console, but I can't seem to navigate it to the web page. Any tips? Question mark. I manually inputted the address and tried it on my desktop and iPad, both on the same network.
Interesting. What are you getting, I guess, is the next question. So one of the things I
Can't connect to the network.
Can't connect to the network. Yeah, I would say if you could give us a screenshot of the web browser and what you're seeing, we can take a look. I mean, if you can't connect to the network, that's something with the computer screen.
Make sure he's hooked up to internet too.
Well, you don't need to be hooked up to the internet. But sometimes what happens is web browsers will try to block certain, like a local IP address. It might be a security issue that is on your network that your computer is blocking, and it depends on what operating system you're running, what browser you're running. So send us that information, and we can definitely take a look and see what's happening. But that is sometimes an issue depending on how your browser is configured, how your operating system is configured, and how your network is configured. So it's all kinds of fun. But yeah, send us maybe a screenshot of what you're seeing on your browser, and we can see if we can help you out.
Okay. This is a chicken for Rob because he said it's 40 degrees and he doesn't want to get in the water. You're chicken. You're chicken, Rob. Get in the water.
Wow, come on, man.
All right.
40 degrees? That's cold, isn't it? Out there.
It's very cold,
It's
but
very
I mean,
cold.
he's on vacation and it's June.
Yeah, you should come out here. It's nice and warm.
Yes. Sharon, I'm struggling to upload songs from Planning Center to OS. I'm guessing you're still working on that, question mark? You've said before that there were bugs in that.
We actually looked into it this last build. We weren't able to replicate any issues with importing from PCO. So if you are having issues, we'd love to hear from you. I mean, this is great hearing from you here, obviously, but I mean, we might need to have you send some information more about what type of issues you're having. So I would say reach out to support@onsongapp.com. Unfortunately, with PCO, it does depend on how your files and attachments and songs are set up in your PCO library. So we might have to look at your specific username just to see what is happening in PCO. But we tested it. We imported files, PDF files, text files. So we would love to know more and try to nail it down. And one of the frustrating things from a developer standpoint is sometimes we hear people that have issues, and then we don't have enough information to try to nail that down. Either it's not clear as to how to what are the issues happening, or it's a specific setup or a series of steps that are hard to nail down. So any detail that you can send is super helpful, and usually we can nail it down. I think I can count on one hand where we had the information and we still couldn't figure it out. And sometimes that ended up being a hardware issue, like the iPad had an issue or whatever. So, but yeah, definitely get some more details to us at support@onsongapp.com, and we'd love to take a look at that.
I'm out.
You're out of everything.
Do you have any?
Well, I'd say, we can, I don't have anything on YouTube, no. Oh, wait a minute. Whoa. Alberto he asked a lot of questions all at once here.
Alberto!
Okay. You mentioned MIDI Bluetooth. I currently have a TC Helicon Voice Live 3. I run USB out from that pedal to my iPad. This allows me to change pedal settings when I switch from song to song and OnSong. Cool. The downside, I knew there's always a downside. There's always a downside. The downside is that being connected via USB sends iPad audio through the pedal at an uncontrollable volume at sometimes. That is a problem. That is a problem. Would the MIDI Bluetooth be an option to do that? I am doing now via USB. I can unplug the iPad. Hope that makes sense. That does make a lot of sense, Alberto. Yeah, I have read. So we can't buy all the toys, because we would spend all of our money buying pedals and keyboards and everything to test. We do try to take a look at a couple of these, but the Helicon, we probably need to get one of those because a lot of people ask about the VL3. But it does, it sends the audio via USB as well as MIDI, which is great. I mean, that's a great feature to have, except when you don't want it to send all that volume out to your foot pedal and then to your PA system. So one thing I thought I saw in the TC Helicon manual, maybe not, but there might be a way to turn off USB audio and just have MIDI. I'm not 100% sure on that, so I'd have to check. But yes, you could use a MIDI Bluetooth dongle to do that. And let me try to look one up here real quick for you. Just give me a second. I'll just bring up Yamaha's page. All right, so here we go. This is the one that I'm using. There's also another one from a company called Quico, Q-U-I-C-O. But this is the Yamaha MD-B201. It looks like the price has gone up. The price used to be about $49. But the nice thing is that that plugs right into any MIDI port, and it's actually powered by the MIDI port. So you just plug it in and go. The one downside is that when your pedal loses power, let's say you turn off your pedal board to take it home, the connection between the Bluetooth dongle and OnSong is also disconnected. And this is actually not something OnSong can affect. This is actually how MIDI over Bluetooth works. As soon as it loses power, you have to plug it back in again, so to speak, because it's wireless. But the way you do that is in OnSong, you can go in and reconnect pretty easily. So I could show you how to do that as well. Actually, I can't show you here because this doesn't have MIDI Bluetooth. But there's the pedal, or not the pedal, the adapter. Let me go and connect this this device. I'm talking. Let me go and connect this. That's how we solve that problem.
1, 2, 3.
No more comments from YouTube.
No more comments from YouTube today. Oh yeah. So as you can see, we're still working out some of the technical. My son actually recently did a live stream on Minecraft, and one of the first things he said is like, "If there's any technical difficulties, don't blame me." And I'm sitting like behind the camera, you know. So anyway, let me restart this so that we can show you the Bluetooth connection piece. All right, do I have a screen over there?
Nope.
No. Nada?
Nope.
Interesting. On the right?
Nope.
Interesting. Hold on a second here. Really?
There we go. We got it now.
Good.
Ta-da.
Ta-da. All right, here we go. Thank you for your patience, everyone. So if you do turn off the power to your foot pedal, you will need to reconnect the MIDI. It's real simple to do. Tap on the gear icon up here. Tap on Tools. Tap on Bluetooth MIDI. And then this, as you can see, we've been testing a whole lot of devices here. But your device should just show up there as soon as it gets power. From the MIDI port, it will show up. You just tap on it to reconnect. So it's still a lot easier than plugging in cables, especially MIDI cables, which you have to know the right order to plug them in and everything like that. But that is how you would do it inside of OnSong. So.
All right. Murray has a question.
Yes.
Love OnSong. I'd like to be able to reorder songs and sets using console. Sometimes it's easier to use a computer than an iPad for working with sets. Also, crazy idea. You want to answer that first?
We probably have heard it. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, let me answer that first. Again, I would say we are working to add some new features to console in the future. That's how I would say it right now. But yes, we agree with you. One of the things we want to do is be able to manage our sets and books inside of a web-based interface, which would be console. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. It's a crazy idea for
By the way, it's not a promise. I should have a disclaimer.
Oh.
This will not be coming out in version 2.0. Okay, good.
Okay. Crazy idea. It'd be great to create a set, as a spreadsheet and upload it to OnSong as a CSV and have it create a set automatically. That'd be easier than scrolling through hundreds of songs to find the next song to add.
Interesting. I think somebody had mentioned that crazy idea, actually, believe it or not. Something. So it sounds like the issue is that they're scrolling through tons of songs and they don't want to scroll through tons of songs. And so it'd be better if they could easily typed out those songs essentially instead, right? You just want to like type the song name and be it, bam, bam. Because I think like the process of exporting the text file and importing and everything, that would, I mean, you could do that, but it'd probably just take a while. It might be a little more effective that you could just type in the song name and then be done. So yeah, we'll put that down as a feature request and see where we can go.
I have one of those Yamaha MD/BT01
Okay.
plugged into my Line 6 pod. I have a guitar preset set in OnSong for all 80 or so songs. Works great.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
Awesome. Oh, who's that? That's not
That was
Alberto.
Jim.
Jim. Okay, so there you go. Alberto, Jim says he's doing it. It's working.
Yeah, Jim says
Yeah.
it works great.
Yeah, I would like to look in to see if I can maybe come up with a way to use that TC Helicon without the USB audio moving back and forth. That would be nice, I would think. So one thing, actually, real quick, if you are using an iPad, this is just a quick thought. The way that iPads and iPhones work is when you're dealing with audio routing, in other words, where do we send that audio? Do we send it to the headphone jack? Do we send it to the speaker? Do we send it out the lightning jack? Do we send it out USB audio, etc.? OnSong does not have advanced audio routing at this point. However, the way iOS works is it's sort of a last-in wins scenario. And so this might be a real quick hack that you could use, but if you plug in that USB audio or USB cable to run MIDI to your TC Helicon, you could also do something like take a pair of headphones and plug it in to your iPad, and it should then route any audio out to your headphone jack instead of out to the USB audio. So there might be a way of handling that a little bit differently. You could also possibly swipe down from the upper right corner in iOS 12 and higher. So if we switch over to our screen, I can show that to you real quick, but you can swipe down. And then usually up here, you can see in the music area in the upper right corner, see that thing that's like blinking, like wong, wong. So right now, all of our audio from this iPad is actually going to the Apple TV, but if you tap on that, it should then bring up where you want that audio to go. So you can see here in the office, we have a Bose S1. Thanks, Annette, if you're watching. That thing was a great little device at our training, so we grabbed one so we could do some more training with it. But we can actually send that audio to another route, another audio route. And so you could also do that. So once you plug in that USB audio, you could say, you know what, just play the audio through the iPad. And then if you're on AirPlay, it cuts you out. Boo, Apple. So that's one issue with AirPlay, is that the audio and video has to kind of stick together. Can you switch us back to the video? Hello again. Okay, is there anything else we got?
Yeah, one more.
Yeah.
Joe, any update on when we'll be able to doodle/freehand on Post-it notes, please?
Another one on our list, Joe, so I do apologize for the delay on that. That is something that we do want to add. So we're working hard. In fact, one of the things that we want to do is call it, the feature would be called Clips, and you would be able to either import pictures or add pictures and put it on Post-it notes, or not Post-it notes, but basically put that content in your song, drag it around, put it where you need to go. So it is on our list. It's pretty high on our list, actually. Probably, I would say the top 10.
Top 10.
Top 10.
Well,
Although if people keep adding feature requests, we try to.
yeah, we got to get the big things out the door.
Yeah.
To help all you.
Yeah. So yeah, we're working on changing the way we do business in order to do those bigger things. So one of those things was the new office. So now we have lots of room. We can focus on what we need to, on the work we need to get done. So things are getting very effective. So thank you again for watching and for asking all these questions. And again, if we didn't answer your question today, contact us at support@onsongapp.com, because we want to solve your problems probably just as bad as you want to solve your problems. And a lot of times we just need some more information so that we can dig into it and replicate those issues and get them solved for you. So
Good. Just remember the apps or add-ons are half price for the next 2 weeks. And so go pick those up if you don't have any of those add-ons. They will help you out with your use of OnSong. And yeah, we will be back with you in 2 weeks from today. And we'll have more things to be able to share with you and show you concerning OnSong. Being that it is summertime, we are still slaving away and working on different things so that your music experiences over the summer, whether you're playing clubs and pubs or house of worship, whatever it may be, will be good and flowing smoothly for you. So again, let us know if you have any questions or concerns about OnSong, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Anything else, Jay?
Let me check real quick. One last call here. Oh, Alberto is telling us that he was one of the first OnSong users, and he bought it for $4.99.
$4.99.
Day, yeah.
You got a deal,
So,
brother.
yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And what's really great, guys, so, again, we're talking about subscription, a little bit about accounts, some of the features that we want to add, and this is one of those steps that we need to take in order to do all that stuff. But the great thing is, Alberto, is that you will continue to be able to use OnSong that you have been. You paid $5 for it, and you get all the functionality of a right now $30 app, and even any updates that we make to that, the core of the app, you'll continue to be able to use. So all right, and Abe Garcia says a pat on the back.
Thank you.
Any issues I have had been answered quickly. Awesome, thank you, Abe. Yeah, we try really, really hard. So if let's say you send something in and we don't get back to you right away, it's probably because sometimes things get lost in transmission. It's not because we're ignoring you. So please send it again. We do have some people that reach out to us on Facebook and say, "Hey, I sent something in. Can you take a look?" And we take a look, because we want to answer any of your questions. That's our heart. We want to help you, the musician, do what you need to do. That's why we do all this.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
All
All right. Thanks,
We're
guys.
out.
Over and out. See you in
See
2
ya.
weeks.